Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Maddie and I'm so excited that you are here. Today we're doing a super fun video. We are doing a book tag. I am super excited about this. This is supposed to be like a mid-year book tag, but I'm doing it a little bit late because I've just been really busy this past month, and trying to get some other video ideas out for you guys. Today we're finally doing my book tag. I'm super excited about it, but I have a lot to talk about, so let's go ahead and jump in. If y'all don't know what a book tag is, it's basically a bunch of prompts like top book so far, 5-star reads, 6-star reads, just to kind of get to know how your reading year is going so far. I love these sorts of videos and I hope you guys do too, so let's go ahead and start our first prompt. The first prompt for this video that I have is top book so far. I have 2 of these. I know it says book, but I couldn't decide between 2, so I'm just including both. First up for one of my top books is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. Y'all, if y'all watched the video where I talked about this, I think I talked about this in a video. Maybe I'm dreaming that. I think I did. Then you know how freaking obsessed with this book I am. Like, this is my favorite book in the ACOTAR series by far. I don't know what it was about this book that made me get through it so quickly, but it was so good. If y'all don't know, this is the 5th book in the ACOTAR series. But the ACOTAR series follows Feyre. She's immortal and she shoots a fae trying to basically hunt for food for her family, and then that fae man comes back and he takes her to the fae world where she basically lives with him, and then a bunch of other stuff happens in the series. And this follows a different romance between 2 different characters that are in the same friend group in the series basically, and it follows their relationship and just their hardships and what they're going through, and it is so freaking good. I don't know what it was about the characters in this book that did it for me, but I was obsessed and I got through it in like 3 days and I just like could not stop reading. This was so good. But yeah, I was obsessed with Court of Silver Flames. I would read it again in a heartbeat. It's amazing. The other one I have is Mistborn Book 1 by Brandon Sanderson. Y'all have heard me talk about this many times. I don't have the book on me right now, but just know that it was absolutely incredible. Basically, the series follows Vin. She is sort of like an apprentice to Kelsier. She is a slave. She's in a really poor part of basically this whole fantasy world, and again, she's an apprentice to this guy named Kelsier, and turns out that she has powers and he's teaching her how to use those to basically eventually fight the Lord Ruler, who's like a tyrannical ruler over the world. It's a really complicated series. There's a lot I could say, but I don't really want to spoil the whole series for you guys, but basically just know that it is incredible. Brandon Sanderson is a genius when it comes to fantasy worlds. He has hired like physicists to help him create his fantasy worlds, which is crazy to me. He has his own magic system, his own like world laws, and basically it's all just really unique and really cool to read about. Also, my favorite character in this series was Kelsier. He was incredible. He was really cool and basically came from nothing like Vin did, and it was really cool to see them like bond and like create this bond over that, but also in like a crazy fantasy world. It was so good. This is probably one of my most favorite fantasy series of all time. If you haven't read it, you basically need to, because it's crazy good. Next is how many books I've read so far this year, and I have read 34 books, which is not as much as I was hoping it would be by this point, but I had a really hard month in July, which I said in my last video. I just really fell into a really bad slump after the ACOTAR series, and I just did not want to read, so I was hoping for like 45 books by now or something better than that, but I also didn't read in January or February. I think I started in March this year because I was also in a really bad slump for both of those months, so, and college just got too crazy for me to read, so I haven't read as many books as I was hoping to, but 34 is still good. Then we have the best sequel of this year, and that is A Court of Mist and Fury from the ACOTAR series. I'm going to be talking about this series a lot in this video because it is absolutely incredible. And no, I have not read Throne of Glass yet, and I know I need to. That one's coming up pretty soon. This is the 2nd book in the ACOTAR series, like I said. It is by Sarah J. Maas. She's incredible. This has a lot of romance, a lot of spice, a lot of just action. This is also where the first arc of the series gets crazy, so it is so freaking good. It's a lot of politics. It's a lot of just good stuff packed into a book. If y'all have not read the series, please do. It's really good, and everybody knows that chapter 54 and 55 in this book is so good. Again, if you haven't read it, please do. It's incredible. The next prompt is a new release that I have not read yet but want to, and that is Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher. I'm still including this for this prompt. I actually did start it, if you couldn't tell by my little bookmark hanging out, but I just barely barely started it, so I haven't officially like read it yet. And this is one that I'm super excited about, super excited to read and finish. It is a brand new book by Lauren Asher. It is part of the Lakefront Billionaire series. They are interconnected standalone romances, basically billionaire tropes, super good. But her first book was really great. That one was called Love Redesigned. She just came out with this one that follows a different couple from the first one, and it's really good so far. I really like this. But honestly, if you haven't read any Lauren Asher books, you should. They're really easy to get through, really fast paced, and I really like them. But I'm super excited to read and finish this because I do really like Lauren Asher. Next up, we have the biggest surprise of the year, and that is how much I did not like Love Theoretically. This book caught me off guard because I have read The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, again the same author, and I loved it. Like, I was obsessed with it. I was obsessed with Adam Carlson, the main male love interest in that book. I was obsessed with just like the STEM romance vibe in that book, but this book did not do it for me. This is another one of her STEM romances. It basically follows Elsie Hanaway. She is a theoretical physicist by day and fake girlfriend by night. However, the older brother of her favorite client actually is starting to figure out that maybe their relationship is not as real as it seems. He doesn't like her, and then she finds out that she's actually the same Jack Smith that rules over the physics department at MIT and standing in the way of her and her dream job. I really thought I was gonna like this one because it's another STEM romance by Ali Hazelwood, and I really liked her writing in The Love Hypothesis, but her writing in this was really just kind of lazy, and the spicy scenes were really awkward and hard for me to get through. I just did not like their dynamic. I didn't like the way that they interacted with each other. I thought that he was kind of like really hard on her. Basically, she struggled with people pleasing and not really just saying what she wanted, and he was really hard on her about that, trying to get what she wanted out of her. And I don't know, it just kind of like interrupted a lot of their spicy scenes that should have been really good. He was just really hard on her about it, and she had a lot that she was trying to get through, and I just didn't like the way that he handled it, I guess. If that all makes any sense. If you read it, you know. And anyways, this one just really disappointed me. I just did not like it that much, and I was really hoping to because I've heard so many good things about it, but honestly, I just found it really hard to get through. Okay, I just had to take a break because my legs were falling asleep, but moving on. My next prompt is favorite new to you author, and this is a really easy one for me, and that would be Brandon Sanderson, the author of the Mistborn series, and then also Lynn Painter. What got me into her is Better Than the Movies. I freaking loved this book, and I love her writing and just like the way that she writes her characters. After that book, I read 2 of her other books. Anyways, Brandon Sanderson is an obvious for me. I've talked about the Mistborn series so many times. I'm sure y'all are like, shut up, Maddie, like we've heard it, but he's incredible. He is just so good at building these crazy fantasy worlds with insane laws and just so much going on behind the scenes. His worlds feel very whole and like they're actually real. And if y'all don't know, he basically has this universe called the Cosmere where all of his books take place in. They basically take place on like different planets and things, and it has its own lore and like how the universe came to be. And like I said earlier, he's literally hired physicists to like help create these worlds, which is crazy to me. He's just very thorough about his books, and I really enjoy that. I also really like his politics in his books. I love a good like romance, but I also need a lot of politics in my fantasy books to keep it interesting, and he has the perfect mix. That's another prompt that I had 2 answers for, but I really couldn't ignore Lynn Painter. I think she's so great, and I really just want to read all of her books. My next prompt is newest fictional crush, and I think this one's pretty obvious for me, and that would be Cassian from A Court of Silver Flames. I already had a huge crush on him in the beginning of the series and all the books before this one, but this one really just solidified it for me. If y'all have read the series, you know this book is so spicy and like so good. The way that he just treats his female love interest is so great, and I think he's like the most genuine guy ever. Like, he's giving golden retriever like super loyal energy, and I'm obsessed with him for that. I think he is the sweetest, and I really don't want to say too much about him because I don't want to spoil the series, but he's a part of the friend group that is in the ACOTAR series that basically the whole series is like centered around. He's just really loyal and such a good friend to all of his friends, and really just there for everybody he loves and cares about and will die for them, and I just think that that's really awesome. I love him. My next prompt is books that made you cry. I have 2 of these. First up, I have A Court of Wings and Ruin in the ACOTAR series. This is the 3rd book, and it basically is where the first arc of the series wraps up and gets really crazy, and I definitely shed some tears over this. If y'all know me, you know that I don't really cry over books very often. Like, it's very rare for me. So the fact that I cried over this one was honestly kind of impressive. It just really tugged on my heartstrings. Next up, the 2nd book that made me cry a lot is the 3rd book in the Mistborn series. This is The Hero of Ages. It basically wraps up the series, the trilogy, and it's not necessarily really sad. It's just I was really sad for the series to end, if that makes sense. Like I was crying over this book because I didn't want the series to end, and I was really sad that I wouldn't like get more of these characters. The book itself wasn't necessarily really sad. I don't know. It was sad, but it wasn't sad like a lot of other books are. It was just a really perfect ending, and the fact that it was such a perfect ending to my literal most favorite series of all time, it just made me cry a lot. Next up, I have my least favorite book of the year, and that is really obvious for me, Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. Honestly, I'm really disappointed about this because I thought I was gonna really like this one. This book is a part of another interconnected standalone series by Lauren Asher. It is a part of the Dreamland Billionaires trilogy. It basically follows this group of 3 brothers, and basically all 3 of the brothers trying to win their part of their grandfather's inheritance. This one followed Declan. His love interest in this book is Iris, and she was the sweetest woman on the planet. Like, she would go to the ends of the earth for anyone, and she was just the kindest human being, and he was so rude to her and just like mean, and I don't know why she fell for him the way that she did. I just really struggled to get through this one. I thought her writing sucked. I thought Declan sucked. I thought Iris was way too sweet to be in love with Declan, and I just did not like it. It was a struggle for me to get through for sure. The trope in this book is also marriage of convenience, and I'm not a big fan of that trope. I find them hard to get through, so I just don't think that this book was for me. I don't think this trope was for me. I don't think their relationship was for me, and I just don't think her writing was for me. This book also made me realize that I don't like Lauren Asher as much as I thought I did, which sucks. So we have 4 more prompts, and the next one is books that made you happy. For me, that is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter, and then also The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. Better Than the Movies follows Liz. She finds out that her childhood high school crush Michael is coming home, and her next door neighbor Wes Bennett is friends with him, so she basically recruits Wes to get a leg in with Michael to hopefully bring him to her prom. She basically falls in love with Wes at the end, and it was so cute to watch their relationship progress and her feelings start to change throughout the book. I thought that their relationship was so cute. I thought that she was so funny, and it's basically called Better Than the Movies because she is obsessed with rom-coms and she knows all of them by heart, which I thought was really sweet. She's such a good character, and Wes Bennett is like one of my most favorite book boyfriends. I think that he is the sweetest. He is so funny and sarcastic, but really cares about her, which I thought was really sweet. So, and then next I have The Love Hypothesis. This one made me fall in love with Ali Hazelwood, and then unfortunately Love Theoretically made me fall kind of out of love with her, but I need more books like this. Honestly, this book was so good. This is another one of her STEM romances. It basically follows Olive Smith. She's a 3rd year PhD student, and she basically recruits Adam Carlson, which is this guy, to pretend to date her so that her best friend can believe that she's over her ex. Adam Carlson is a young hotshot professor and one of her superiors, but she doesn't realize that until after she recruits him to basically fake date her. It's a really funny sequence of events. I know it sounds confusing, but it really does make sense once you read the book. I literally found myself just like giggling and laughing, and I just thought that the way that she wrote this book was really funny. I also felt like I understood the references in this book because I have taken the classes that they are talking about in this book, but Love Theoretically I just like couldn't really get behind because I don't really know anything about what they were talking about in the book, and if you know Ali Hazelwood, then you know that she crams a ton of references into her book. But anyways, I just loved Adam Carlson. I loved Olive Smith. I thought that she was really funny and like kind of quirky and just cute, I guess. And this one just brought a lot of smiles to my face. Next up, I have how many 5-star reads, and that is 6. I have the whole Mistborn trilogy in this, and then also The Cruel Prince, A Court of Wings and Ruin, and then Happy Place. I haven't talked about The Cruel Prince yet, but it basically follows Jude. She was 7 when her parents were murdered, and she was stolen away to the Fae world. It's basically about her navigating that. There's a lot of politics. Basically just really good. I really liked the way that this was written. I love Holly Black. I think she's so great. I think she's really good at writing fantasy worlds that are not too complicated and really easy to get into. This one got me out of my book slump from the first 2 months of the year, and I just really appreciated that, but I really liked this one. And then also I have Happy Place, which I read in my last video. This one follows Harry and Wynn. They go together like salt and pepper, but they're not together anymore, and when they go to their happy place with their group of best friends in Maine, they basically pretend to still be together to not upset their friends because their friends are about to get married. It's super good. I love Emily Henry. I just read this one and I was obsessed. I got through it so quickly, and I really just enjoyed Emily Henry's writing. I feel like you can tell that she's a really intelligent person. She really just pours her heart and soul into her writing, and I really appreciated that. So I thought this one is amazing. Then I also have how many 6-star reads, and that was 2. I have A Court of Mist and Fury and then A Court of Silver Flames, which I talked about earlier in the video. And then my final prompt is books you've been putting off, which is The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. This follows the the Cruel Prince series. It is 10 years later and is about Jude's little brother. And then also Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, which I'm going to make a video on very soon because I want to get through this book, and I know the only way that I'm going to read it is by making a video about it. But this is another Brandon Sanderson book. I am obsessed with him. He wrote the Mistborn series, and I just haven't gotten through this one because it is 1,000 pages. And I just don't know how to commit to that quite yet, but I'm gonna make a video on it and hopefully get through it. So I just know that the only way I'm gonna read it is if I make a video about it, so that's what I'm going to be doing. And honestly, for The Stolen Heir, I don't know why I haven't read this yet. I tried to read it like a week ago and I just didn't really feel like I was in the mood for it, so I don't really know why I'm putting this one off, but I'm going to get to it eventually. And yeah, that was all my prompts for the video. I hope y'all enjoyed. I love a good little book wrap up. I know this is late again, but I hope y'all enjoyed anyways, and I hope that y'all read some of these books that I've recommended. I love you guys so much, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye. I just hated it.